Hi students, so we're going to be reading section 2, Hunter-Gatherer Societies. This is going to be page 64 in your textbook through page 67 at the end of our section, section 2. Okay, please follow along either here on the screen or in your textbook. Section 2, Hunter-Gatherer Societies. Early humans were hunter-gatherers, which means that they lived by hunting small animals and gathering plants. In this section, you will read about the societies that these people formed and the developments that improved their chances for survival. How early hunter-gatherers lived. Archaeologists know very little about how early hunter-gatherers such as Lucy lived, but they do know that their lives were often harsh. Many groups appeared for a time and died out. To survive and grow, early humans developed technology, tools, and skills that people used to meet their needs and wants. The development of tools. About 2.5 million years ago, early humans learned how to make tools out of stone. This technology was so important to human survival that archaeologists call this period the Paleolithic era, or Old Stone Age. The word Paleolithic comes from the Greek words meaning old and stone. The Paleolithic era lasted from about 2.5 million to 10,000 years ago. At first, the tools made by early humans were simple. Tool makers split stones to make cutting tools for chopping down small trees, cutting meat, or scraping animal skins clean. Over time, tool makers became more skillful, making thinner and sharper stone blades. Some blades were used to tip spears and arrows. Toolmakers also began making weapons from bones and antlers. As their skills and weapons improved, Paleolithic hunters were able to turn from hunting small animals to hunting larger animals such as deer. The use of fire. At some point during the Paleolithic era, people also learned how to use fire. Making fire was a technology that had many different uses. With fire, people could have light on dark nights. They could cook meat and plants and use flames to scare off dangerous animals. Making fire also had important long-term effects. Here, a British archaeologist explains why learning to control fire was an important step in human development. Like many early writers, the archaeologist uses the term man to refer to humankind. The control of fire was presumably the first great step in man's freedom from the bondage of his environment. Man is no longer restricted in his movement to a limited range of climates, and his activities need not be entirely determined by the sun's light. But in mastery of fire, man was controlling a mighty physical force. Fire made it possible for hunter-gatherers to live in places where it would have otherwise been too cold to survive, probably like Juneau in the winter. Wandering bands. The culture of early societies was simple. Culture includes the many different elements that make up the way of life of a people. Elements of culture include social and family organization, beliefs and values, technology, shelter and clothing, common activities, storytelling, rituals, and art. Stone Age hunter-gatherers lived in small groups or bands. A typical band included 10 or 12 adults and their children. Many of these people were nomads, people who moved from place to place with the seasons. After gathering as much food as they could in one area, they moved on to a new campsite. These wandering bands sometimes used caves as shelters. More often, they built temporary huts out of branches or tents from animal skins, another major advance in technology. Hunter-gatherers spent many hours each day looking for food. Men and boys generally did the hunting. Women and girls usually gathered fruit, grains, seeds, and nuts. They collected eggs and honey and caught small animals such as lizards or fish. They also may have picked herbs for medicine. Later Stone Age peoples. Toward the end of the Paleolithic era, two groups of larger-brained humans appeared. Both groups had more developed cultures than earlier peoples. However, only one of these groups would survive past the Stone Age. Neanderthals. A group known as Neanderthals appeared in Europe and parts of Asia about 200,000 years ago. Their name comes from Neander Valley in present-day Germany, where their fossil remains were first found. Some archaeologists believe that the Neanderthals were the first people to bury their dead. Remains of flowers and other objects in burial sites may be evidence that Neanderthals carefully buried bodies and may have believed in life after death. Other archaeologists, however, disagree. Even if Neanderthals did bury their dead, their burial practices were much simpler than those of later people. Modern humans. About 100,000 years ago, the last new group of humans appeared. The scientific name of this group is Homo sapiens, which means wise people. Homo sapiens were the first modern humans, or people like us. These people were like Neanderthals in some ways. Both groups made tools, used fire, and hunted animals. But modern humans were taller and less muscular. They also developed a powerful new skill, complex language. The ability to form words is probably not a skill that Neanderthals had. One scientist who has studied the remains of Neanderthals claims they made a sound resembling a frog's croak or a burp. Homo sapiens, on the other hand, did have the ability to form words. Having a shared language gave them a great advantage in the struggle to survive. They could organize a hunt, warn of danger, or pass knowledge and skills on to their young. For thousands of years, Neanderthals and modern humans have lived near each other, but the Neanderthals eventually disappeared. Some archaeologists believe they fought with the newcomers and lost, while others think the groups mixed together. Whatever the cause, there's no fossil evidence of Neanderthals in Europe after about 28,000 years ago.